Especially, what about when the modern games are now retro?
Angel Knot.
Salutations to the nations. What's good, Angel Knots? It's your boy, Young Sinai. So today we are going to be watching a video titled "Retro Games Are Better Than Modern Games." Yeah, I know we agree with that. You know, a lot of people on the channel, not everybody, which is cool. And with that being said, there are a lot of great modern titles. I just want to put that out there because, we dog on modern games a lot, but there are some great modern titles. Okay, this video is by Retro Hunters. Let's go ahead and get to it.
The gaming space is such an interesting place. Lots of hot takes, lots of things that people are willing to go to bat for, and hills that people are willing to die on. I totally get it. But maybe this one is mine. And it's not going to be what you think, but if you'll indulge me for a second.
If it's what the title says, it is what we think.
I want to talk to you why I think that retro games will always be better than modern.
Always. That's a strong word. That's a strong word. Especially, what about when the modern games are now retro?
Modern games. Now, the first thing that you're probably thinking is it has something to do with the quality of the games, or digital versus physical, the graphics or the music and stuff like that. It's not that. Although I will say, when it comes to like the graphical charm of retro games, I don't think you can beat it. I mean, for me, when I think back to some of those games that I played on Super Nintendo and some of the moments that they created.
Yeah, man, like pixel art is like timeless, right? That's why a lot of indie games can use pixel art and are pulling from that art style because it looks so timeless. Compare that to like a PS1 game, and that looks dated. When they were trying to make it look as realistic as possible, it aged.
I think a lot of it does have to do with all of those things coming together. The moment in Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past when you go into
I'm going to skip this part. Spoilers. I know you're thinking this dude hasn't beat Link to the Past. He doesn't know what he's talking about. No, I don't. I'm trying to play Link to the Past. And every time I play Link to the Past, I switch to a different handheld. Then I got switched to a different handheld, and the handheld. Okay. I didn't play Zelda as a kid. Okay. I played it in my adulthood, and I'm still playing it. And he's about to give me a spoiler that he thinks isn't a spoiler because everybody's played that game and finished it. But this guy. All right, I'm gonna skip this part.
Sonic, Super Metroid, and the beginning of that game, and just the way that the introduction is handled, and the set piece of coming into that space station and everything's shut down.
That's facts, man. So cinematic.
And obviously something really bad happened, and there's bodies everywhere, and just it's very ominous. Like, they just did such a great job creating that moment, that almost cinematic moment, with the graphics and the music and all of that stuff. Modern games have a way of doing that too. So it's not simply that. And there is something about holding the game in your hand, opening the case. Back in the day when I remember buying Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64 games, like opening up the case, pulling out the manual, the physical manual.
They smelled so good too.
Flipping through it. Like, that was a thing as a kid. Like, maybe that you don't experience as much anymore, is like, you had to go to the store, you had to look through the shelves, you bought the game, and then as your parents are driving you home and you're so like the anticipation of being able to play, like, you're opening the box, you're pulling out the manual, you're sitting in the back seat, looking at the manual and kind of checking everything out. And it was almost like the next step in being able to finally experience the game in your home. Like, it just was this, like,
that delayed gratification made it like even more, exciting.
I don't know, just like this journey that you went on in order to be able to play the game. It was really cool.
I gotta buy my kids more physical games so that they had that experience. And I can't just buy the physical game and have it delivered. I gotta go get the game. That's what me and my daughter did with Kirby Forgotten Land when she was 4. I think she was 4. We went and bought the game. She was so excited. I like filmed that whole thing.
And it's not something that you experience as much anymore, but that's not why retro games, I think, will always be better than modern games. I think it's something that's both so much simpler than that and also way, way more complicated. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of a game that you love. Those 1 or 2 games that just really have stuck with you and you can't seem to get enough of. What are some moments in your life that when you think about that game, it connects to those moments? A lot of these games in the retro category are more than just games to some of us. They're almost like a doorway back to some meaningful moment in your life. It's almost like if you've seen the movie Inside Out and you think about the core memories in that movie and how those moments sort of shaped and guided and directed that main.
Some of the memories that I have with gaming, man, that would be a good video to make. Hold on. Memories. All right. That might be a good video if I can think of enough of them. I'm only going to share one. I'll never forget playing Super Nintendo for the first time on Christmas. And me and my dad and my cousin, we were playing Super Mario World, and we got to the first castle, and that music came on. That I don't remember. And man, that music scared the crap out of me. I ran and hid behind my dad. I was like 5 years old or something. Yeah, that's one memory that takes me back to that time.
Character. And in some way, I think these games are like core memories for a lot of us that always reconnects you to a moment in the past. For example, I was playing Flashback recently, and I've loved that game for the longest time. And I've thought about and just like all throughout my gaming time, I was going to use the word career, but that feels weird. But just like all throughout my gaming experience, Flashback is a game that I always go back to. I always talk about how much I love it and all that kind of stuff. But I started to really think about what is it about that game that I like? And the graphics of it, the story that it tells, the cinematic platforming element of it, and just as a genre, I love that. But as I dug deeper, I started to realize that when I think about the foundation of that game, it takes me back to being 13 years old. And it's that first summer where I actually met my biological dad for the first time.
That's
and then
dope.
I went and spent a summer with him up in his, where he lived up in Washington. And he passed away recently this year. But I realized that the first time that I ever played that game was that summer on the Sega Genesis at his house. It's the reason that when I think about the game Shadowrun on the Super Nintendo, it's great. I love it. I've never actually beat it. I'm currently playing through it right now, but I've never actually beat it. I will. I'm on the track to do so, and I'm loving it. And I love Shadowrun. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic, all of that stuff. But if I really get down to brass tacks and I think about it, it reminds me of my friend Robert. Rob, he was Robert. In high school, that we were super connected. And then after high school, like, we didn't really connect very much. And I think he got diagnosed with cancer at a certain point, and like,
Oh man.
we just lost touch. It's the same reason, for like a similar reason, that like FIFA 94 on the Sega Genesis and the name Brian Plank is drilled, Brian Plank from Team Germany is drilled into my psyche, because me and, again, one of my friends, Matt, that I grew up since kindergarten all.
You know, has a very similar feeling, or what does the exact same thing and evokes nostalgia like that, is music. Music will take you back to it's like video games, but I feel like even more so music is like one of the closest things we have to a time machine that can just, if you hear a certain song, it can take you right back to an exact moment that represents that song. Another thing I was going to say, which is really cool, is if you have kids, definitely introduce them to your favorite retro games, because what that does is now not only do you it's threefold. Not only do you have that memory of playing it as a kid, but now they have that memory as playing it as a kid, and you all have that memory together, or you have that memory also of playing it with them. So definitely introduce your kids to your favorite retro games.
All through high school, we were best friends. We would stay up till 1 a.m. playing all kinds of games on the Sega Genesis, one of them being FIFA 94. And then after high school, we just sort of lost connection and haven't really talked much since then. It was back when times were just simpler. And so I can't tell you where I was or the first time I played Fortnite. I can't tell you the first time I played.
But somebody will be able to tell you that, whoever this is their childhood.
Minecraft. But as somebody who's watching this who might be a little bit younger than me, maybe you do. Like when I think about
exactly
my girls, I'm hoping that someday way down the road, when they're reflecting back on and they just have this love for gaming in this era, and one of those happens to be Minecraft, that when they try to put their finger on it, they remember, oh man, part of the reason why I can never get enough of that game is on some of the nights or weekends when me and my sister and dad would sit and we would just mess around in Minecraft in creative mode.
If I had to think about, my kids right now are 7 and 3, and if I had to think what games they're really gonna like when they look back in their memory bank right now, I want to say Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario Party, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Rocky Rodent. Rocky Rodent.
If you know, you know.
Maybe Pokemon Legends Arceus, if I had to take a guess.
That it's locked into this core memory for them of a time that was simpler, or that made them feel loved, or that made them feel connected.
And I don't know if I said Mario Party Jamboree.
And so at the end of the day, quality of gaming is going to go up and down. At the end of the day, the physical versus digital debate, it's going to be there. But the reason I think that retro will always be better than modern gaming is because it's more than just about the games. It's about the places that it takes us back to. It's about the connections and the relationships we had. And those games were just the backdrop or the...
But also, it's kind of subjective, because what if your childhood sucked? You know what I mean? Like, what if that was just all horrible memories? And I know I had a lot of really bad memories as a kid, Thank God I had good ones as well. And a lot of them did involve gaming. But I think that it really just depends on where you're at in life, right? Like, you might have had a really crappy childhood, but your adulthood is lit. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you're might be in a whole new season of life. Maybe you have a family now and you're doing things different than your parents did, or you could have came from a broken home and you're like, I don't want a house like that. So your new memories could be better than your old memories. I really think it's really subjective and kind of where you're at. I understand what he's saying. I don't think that retro gaming is always better than modern gaming, specifically because it latches itself to nostalgia. But let's let him cook.
Vessel for the connection that happened there. So when things like Fortnite or Minecraft are considered retro, maybe this generation is going to look back and they're going to be like, man, that was the golden age of gaming.
Oh, they're absolutely going to. you know, we always think that our music was the best, our movies were the best, our games were the best, and the next generation, all that's garbage. You know, so that happens every single generation, so they're absolutely going to do that.
Those were the good old days. And they were. For them, they were, because that was a time when things were simpler. And those games were used as a way to connect with other people. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is a way different video than what you expected, but it's something that I was thinking about. It was something that I wanted to talk about.
All right, yo. So I like what he said, man. It's a lot of feel good stuff. When he started talking about his dad and his dad passing, I wanted to skip past that part because my dad passed and I'm easily triggered. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to cry on this video. But yeah, shout outs to him. Make sure that you all go check out his channel. It is Retro Hunters. Let me know, do you think that gaming is specifically, retro gaming is better specifically because it's tied to nostalgia? Or do you think that modern gaming is just way better? Like, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. I'm on my journey to my first 1,000 subs. I really, truly appreciate all the love that you all have been giving me in the comments. But yeah, please go ahead and subscribe. And there is an opportunity to win a Trim UI brick, okay, when I hit 1,000 subs. And the directions for that is in the post when you sub. So God bless and salutations to the nations. Peace.
Angel Knot.